Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's a Monday. I'm glad you're along for the ride. We've got a good show lined up. We'll be joined by JC momentarily. Second portion of the program today, we'll be joined by former Gator offensive coordinator, longtime head coach at North Carolina, Larry Fedora. We'll get his thoughts on college football. But in the meantime, we're going to head to the Titan MR hotline, and we are joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Well, I'm a little tired. You and I both had a big weekend out of the state of Florida in Mississippi playing golf, and so now we're back for another week. The weather is beautiful. I'm just a little tired, QB. You know, traveling is these days is just not that easy.
It's not. I'm struggling too, but you know, we want to go ahead and congratulate JC. He is the 2021 Mississippi Masters champion. He shot 75, 77, and then I don't know what your handicap was.
Well, I was getting 9.
Yeah,
I was getting 9.
Yeah. So
I'll take
congratulations to you. You edged out a couple of guys by one shot.
Wow.
I shot 73 both days and felt like I shot 85 both days.
Well,
I hit it so bad, but somehow got it in the hole. But it's a tremendous trip. Mississippi Masters put on by our former buddy and my former teammate Kyle Morris does a tremendous job. We had 100 golfers this year. It was outstanding. So two of the best golf courses you'll ever play, the Dancing Rabbit. So that's what we've been doing, folks. JC, a lot of stuff happened over the weekend, Gator related. Gator baseball wins the series, wins 2 out of 3 against the Auburn Tigers. They had to play a doubleheader yesterday. They split the doubleheader, and then softball wins. JC, what are you doing? Are you playing with a necklace or something?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my headphones and my speaker. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Softball wins 2 of 3 at home. I believe it was senior weekend. They lose 4 seniors. So baseball sits at 28-12 right now. Softball is 35-7, and softball is winding down because they always are out in Oklahoma City right around the end of May, 1st of June. So we're getting close to that. You know, it was interesting over the weekend. I know a lot of people, you probably saw it posted on social media. They had Top Golf at the Swamp. If any of our listeners went to that, I'm curious what they thought. I'm not a huge Top Golf guy because I think it's fun, but if you know, it's pretty expensive. I don't know what they charge to do it in the Swamp, but I think people that are diehard golfers don't
play that. No,
don't really do Top Golf because what's the purpose of it?
It's kind of, I think of it like bowling. You go there.
Well, I like to bowl, but bowling is bowling.
Well,
you can only go do bowling at one place, at the bowling alley. Right. When you go play golf, you go to score and you go to compete. You know, I think it was cool. I don't know. I'm just curious, you know, what kind of money they made off of it, what they charged people, how many people went to this. You know, I saw a lot of, you know, Coach Spurrier was there, Doring was there, Judd Davis. Johnny Townsend had a deal with his foundation. So I'm just curious what people thought if they can text us on the Titan MR text line. But anyway, you know, they ought to, if they want to put a Top Golf, they should put a smaller version out at West End. It would be perfect.
Well, that property is I mean, I don't know how it's deliverable. I don't know. I guess it's going to be commercial zoned, whatnot. But I do think that it would be a great spot for that as one of the attractions out towards the western part of the county at Jonesville. I think Top Golf for me is kind of like, I shouldn't have made the analogy ball because you're right. That is a real thing. But a lot of people just go there to kind of just blow off some steam, have some food, drink a few beers, and have a good time. And that's kind of what I consider Top Golf. You get these rented clubs, you hit these rubber balls, and you hit these targets, and you have a good time with your friends. Okay, it's an activity. It's not a competitive thing by any stretch of the imagination. But I think it was a good concept. I think it made sense. People are attracted by it. They're very successful in some places in the country. I think before COVID, they were all over the place. I think after or with COVID, obviously it's had to have slowed down by now, but it'll pick back up. I just don't know about, going to a football state. Look, it's kind of like this. If you're going to cancel a spring football game because you're worried about vaccinating people, that's one thing. But then don't bring in, maybe I'm really being an asshole about this, but don't bring in a bunch of people to do something as meaningless as Top Golf unless if it's a photo op. If it's a photo op, then that's what it is. It's a photo op. What's the point of that, right? What's the purpose of it? Why would you do that put people in the north end zone and hit rubber balls into the seats and into the field? And maybe I'm just a big killjoy here, and it's a harmless thing, but it's also a useless thing. You had a chance to play a football game where most of your competitors in the country did that very thing, or many of them did in the Southeastern Conference, and you shut it down. But then you're going to open it up and let that go on. So I guess I have a hard time trying to reconcile that, but whatever people want to do is what they're going to do, and they do it. But getting back to something more important, I'm looking at the 2021 baseball standings here in the SEC, and Florida with those two wins this weekend are only one game behind Tennessee and only 2 games behind Vanderbilt in the SEC East because Mississippi State was able to pick off Vanderbilt for 1 out of the 3 games they played. But I think I'm pretty happy with where Florida is, believe it or not. I think, okay, they had a bad series during a couple of weekends here prior, and Tennessee has been the surprise team in the SEC East. I don't think anybody saw them in second place at this point in front of Florida, but everybody's really close. And so I like Florida's opportunities here going forward. And then in the West, Arkansas is 2 games ahead of Mississippi State, and Ole Miss got off the schneid a little bit and won some games this weekend as well. They're 10-8. So it's a very highly competitive conference, and anything can happen during the weekend because an Auburn team that's 3-15 can still beat you, on any given day, and is good enough. LSU's been a disappointment at 6-12, and then Alabama's kind of been somewhat surprising, almost playing 500 baseball in the West. They're not known for being very good in baseball, but they are competitive. So you have a league here with 8, 9, 10 teams out of the 14 schools that are probably going to be in some sort of postseason. And many of those 8, 9, 10 teams are going to host regionals in all likelihood. So I think it's an exciting time if you're a big baseball fan. Sometimes it's hard to find information on college baseball, and I'm not really sure why, but I really wish they would give these kids more scholarships on the baseball side of it. I think they get 11.5. They should get more. I just think there should be more. How many people are on a roster? 27, 25, something like that? Yeah, come on, 11? So
yeah. We got a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Dan says Top Golf is big in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah, it's big in Jacksonville and Orlando. I just don't think if you're an avid golfer, I don't think you decide, hey, let's go to Top Golf because it's just, it's all about having a good time. I get it. Dan also said Missouri took the first 2 games. Missouri took the first 2 games against the top-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, which is a little bit surprising.
Right.
Facebook Live here brought to you by Meldon Law. Gene says, I went to the Top Golf, shocker, on Saturday night, and the cameras did not pick up the balls in flight. And I would have rather had seen a spring football game at the Swamp than at Top Golf.
That's my point. It's an activity, and it doesn't mean anything, but it's fun for some people. Great.
And we got one more Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law. It comes from Bayshore. Bayshore says it's interesting that Florida could host Top Golf, but not a spring game in the Swamp.
That's my point. Meanwhile, you got 47,000 fans at a school that's coming here to play on September the 18th. What does that matter, JC? Well, what it matters is that they prioritize something there. Over here, okay, we've got to do vaccinations. Okay, great. But you can't fit in a football game? Really? So, I mean, not that it's a real football game, because it's not a real football game, but it was something maybe with a little bit more significance for what that venue was meant for. And Alabama had 47,000 fans, which was more people than any sports venue since they started reopening these venues for fans. I mean, and it was a meaningless nothing game. So that kind of gives you an idea of where people's thinking is. And I don't know where we went, QB, this weekend, as far as protocols go, the social distancing.
Yeah. State of Mississippi doesn't care. You know, they had Ole Miss.
They do what they want there.
Ole Miss had their spring game this weekend, as well as Tennessee. We'll talk about those with Brent Beard on Thursday. Kind of recap and put to bed spring football. You know, JC, real quick, refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. April's your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We're speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline. We'll be joined second part of the show today with by Larry Fedora, former North Carolina coach.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah.
So JC, I wanted to bring up. I know you're a huge UFC fan. You know, they had the UFC fights in Jacksonville this weekend, and they had over 15,000 people there. Tom Brady was there, Tebow was there. Yeah. All these celebrities were there for the fights, but you know, you're going to see UFC. I don't know if they've ever held their fights in the state of Florida. I know they haven't had them in Jacksonville, but you're going to see.
Didn't they have them in Tampa? No. Okay.
They may have, but I don't know. I don't think they have. I want to say, you know, this is the first time they've had a bunch of fans at UFC, and I'm sure we have some listeners that watch this stuff. I don't really, but 15,000 folks in that arena Saturday night. So you're going to see UFC come back to Jacksonville, in my opinion.
Obviously, it's where that's highly supported in that area, and I think it is very popular. I don't really know why. I've never, ever gotten into it. I'm just not interested in watching two guys beat the hell out of each other. I don't know why I'm not interested in that. I guess I should be, but I'm not. So I'm not the guy to go to for that information, but I think it is interesting that you would have that kind of turnout. And if it happened more often, maybe you wouldn't, but maybe you would. It's just obviously been very successful. Dana White has made a fortune on this kind of thing. And listen, people love it. I mean, they love it. It used to be where you would show up, and if there was a closed circuit event, it was a boxing match, right? It was a boxing match, and you would go watch or wait for Mike Tyson to destroy somebody in 35 seconds, or George or Larry Holmes, or, you know, George Foreman, whatever. When it was closed circuit, that's what it was about. Now UFC has just taken over it all and dwarfed boxing in terms of the fight game. So the fight game is UFC, and if you're into the fight game, it's coming to a city near you.
Yep. Speaking with JC here on the Titan MR Highline. Don't forget we'll be joined by Larry Fedora here in a minute. JC, I know you're big into the Oscars. Did you happen to watch the Oscars last night?
Well, QB, I was on Delta, and they didn't offer the Oscars for us.
Well, I heard this morning that it was the lowest ratings the Oscars have ever had.
Why do you think that is?
People don't care.
Well,
I sure don't.
They used to care. What happened?
I don't know. So anyway,
I think we know. Know.
So JC, we're going to talk about the draft here before we let you go here in a little bit. But I wanted to bring up Major League Baseball. Okay, I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I did.
Madison Bumgarner throws a no-hitter. You know, because they had a doubleheader, I believe. So it was a 7-inning no-hitter.
Yes,
but it doesn't count in Major League Baseball because it has to go 9. That is the dumbest rule I've ever heard.
Well, I guess if you're going to call a 7-inning no-hitter, why wouldn't you call it a 5-inning no-hitter?
Well, I'm saying most games don't end at 5. the game that was scheduled, because it was a doubleheader, was scheduled for 7 innings. Okay. So is it his fault?
If it was scheduled that way, he has to get the recognition.
But Major League Baseball will not honor it.
Listen, QB, you know as well as I do, Major League Baseball's made some very peculiar decisions here lately. The judgment of the leadership, if you can call it that, of Major League Baseball, I think has been questioned now for the last couple of months. And I don't know if Rob Manfred really knows what the hell he's doing. I don't know why he's the commissioner. I don't know if it's because he's popular with the owners or he just somehow got in there. But baseball is odd. It's made some strange decisions. What I did notice, though, was the San Diego Padres.
Well, I was going to bring them up.
Being represented right here. Erased a 6-run deficit to steal a win from the Dodgers in extra innings last night. And between the two of those teams, you had the most hotly contested, competitive, and most intense baseball of the season. They have already played something like 13 games, which is kind of odd that would be how the schedule works out this early in the year when we're not even out of the month of April. And maybe I've exaggerated the number of games. I'll try to find out how many it's been, but it feels like it's been 13 damn games.
I think for a fact, I think they've played 8 times, and I want to say the Padres have won 5 of the 8.
I thought the Dodgers had more victories, but it's close.
I think the Padres have won more games against them. What's interesting is Fernando Tatis Jr., who just got that crazy contract. He had 5 home runs this weekend against the Dodgers.
And he's healthy, and when he is, this is why they gave him that crazy money. He'll be a Padre for the rest of his career, and that's just fine with him. And trust me, if you go to San Diego and you said to yourself, who would I like to play Major League Baseball for? Padres would be in your top 5 without a doubt, because it's a beautiful area and it's a great place. They do like their team there. But this is amazing. They come back from a 6-run deficit. They win the game in extra innings. And I'm trying to find how many times this team has won, but it makes me feel like you're going to see these two teams when the weather gets chilly again in October. They said the temperatures were kind of chilly last night in Los Angeles. And maybe that's the truth, because we've got these two teams clearly in the West going to fight it out for that division, and one of them's going to be a wild card team. I'm pretty positive of that, unless we have massive injuries. But it's a really good rivalry. It's an intense one. It reminds me of the old Yankees Red Sox. I don't know if the Yankees have a heartbeat right now. So frankly, if they don't have a pulse, I don't know what their rival is, because it used to be the Boston Red Sox. The Cubs used to have still have somewhat of a rivalry with the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know if that's more fan-driven or if that's more team-driven, but those two teams seem to have a rivalry in Major League Baseball. So those are the 3 that stand out. The Giants and the Dodgers also have a pretty good rivalry in baseball. Seems like Los Angeles brings out the best, for whatever reason, in the 2 cities in that state when it comes to San Diego and San Francisco. But this is the first time San Diego's really established themselves as a team that rivals the Dodgers, because they've been such a franchise that's had sparingly been a winning franchise. The Giants, on the other hand, have won a lot of World Series games. And so they and the Dodgers, I think, are the bigger rivalry. But right now, San Diego and LA this season is the rivalry in baseball. They won't play for a while now, but they've played a bunch of games already this year.
For all your in-depth Gator recruiting news, go to firstand10florida.com. Use promo code 2for2 right now and get 2 months for just $2. Firstand10florida.com, your premier Florida Gators recruiting news source. Speaking with JC here on the Tiger Hotline. All right, JC, let's talk real quick. Ken on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, says, JC, Gainesville does things different from the rest of the state of Florida.
It's true.
That's true. So we won't go there anymore. All right. So the draft kicks off Thursday night. I don't know if you saw this, JC, but this was very interesting to me. It has nothing to do with the draft. It's the NFL. NFL passed a rule where you can wear different jersey numbers now. Back when I was playing, back when I was playing, for the most part, receivers could only wear numbers in the 80s.
Yeah.
Then towards the end of my career, they allowed you to wear a number in the teens. Like Keyshawn Johnson, I think, was the first guy to wear like number 19. Well, now they're going to allow linebackers and run and skill guys on offense and DBs So linebackers, DBs, and skill guys on offense wear any number between 1 and 49. So you're going to see linebackers in the National Football League wearing number 7.
Dumb. I hate that. I mean, I guess I'm old fashioned, whatever you want to call it. They don't wear those numbers. What is that?
I like it for college football, but as Tom Brady says, he thinks the rule is dumb. He says it's dumb.
It is dumb. So let's see. Maybe a quarterback should wear 58.
Well, no, that's not an eligible number. That's not an eligible number.
I know it's not, but they can do whatever they want. Why are linebackers wearing 8 or 6?
Here's the reasoning that the owners came up with this rule is, first of all, they're increasing the number of players on practice squads, so when guys get injured or whatever, they can call them up on the practice squad, sign them. But the biggest issue is so many teams have retired numbers.
Yeah.
And so, but I get it, but here's what you do. And I'm a firm believer of this. I don't think any number should ever be retired. I think you should honor a certain number, but if if a person wants to wear that number, they still should be allowed to wear that number.
I think.
And so, so from a number standpoint, that's why they feel like they got to go to the single digits. But still, I don't personally like it. But get ready for it.
Well, that number thing in football is dramatically different than it would be, say, in baseball. Or basketball, because I do think in those two sports, retiring numbers is the proper thing to do, because nobody in a New York Yankee uniform should ever think that they could wear number 3, 4, 7, 5, 2. You know what I'm saying? So
no, I get it, but here's the thing. Let's say the Yankees signed Fernando Tatis Jr. once his contract expires, and he wears number 23 right now for the Padres, and I don't know if 23 is retired for the Yankees or not. But my point is, if it was, I still think, I know in baseball you can use a million numbers, but my point is, I personally, especially at the collegiate level, you should never retire a number, because you can miss out on a recruit not being able to wear his number.
I think so. I agree with that. I know, Emmett, 22 is a special number here. 11 is a special number here. But I don't think the guy who wore number 11 would really feel that bad, because Ben Hanks wore number 11.
Well, that guy that wore number 11 unretired it because of that reason.
That's right.
He wanted other people to wear it.
Right. He understands how, for those guys who don't even know who he is, believe it or not, and there are many, because of the time factor involved, and they eventually would know who he is, but when they're getting recruited and they want that number, and that means that's what they want. But it is just different for different sports, QB, and for football, I understand it, I get it, but I think in the pro sport, I'm agreeing with Tom Brady here. It's silly.
Yeah. So anyway, the draft is cranks up Thursday night.
Yes, I can't wait for that, man.
It should be very interesting. I think people still are thinking.
QB? Uh-oh. Did he go in a tunnel? Evan, did he go in a tunnel?
The first 4 or 5 picks are quarterbacks.
There he is.
Need to take a quarterback. Matt Ryan has a lot left. Do you think the Falcons are going to take a quarterback, or are they going to take Kyle Pitts?
I'm now thinking that, and we kind of missed what you said there, Shane, but I got the question. I now think they're going to take Kyle Pitts, and I didn't think that before. I thought the Dolphins were going to look at him and get him at 6, because the Bengals are going to take an offensive lineman to protect Burrow. Okay, fine. But Kyle Pitts, if you pass on him, you're not serious about helping that quarterback of yours unless you want to get some quality offensive linemen, because Matt Ryan is in, I would say, the later stages of his career, but he's still very effective, and he still can win games. It wasn't that long ago they were basically winning the Super Bowl. So, injuries play a large part in what has troubled the Falcons. Kyle Pitts, I think, would be a fine pick and would energize the fan base in Atlanta, which is what they need after that heartbreaking loss in the Super Bowl. So I would take him. If you don't take Kyle Pitts, I don't think you're serious about really protecting or winning or protecting your quarterback, getting him some weapons. And Matt Ryan is capable of delivering the ball to Kyle Pitts anywhere on that field. He can throw the ball to any spot on that field. So you got to have a guy who can bring it in. And a guy who doesn't miss 8 games due to injury like Julio Jones does every single year.
Well, you don't know if Kyle Pitts is going to miss due to injury. Once you get in that league, you get banged up, bro. So
I get it,
know.
but you got to draft somebody. This is the draft. So to me, I'd say you get them. I'd say the Falcons get them, but it wouldn't surprise me if they don't because they are the Falcons. So if they don't get him, I think he goes straight to Miami. He's on his way to Miami. That's what I think, but we'll see. I'm excited to see all the SEC players, the Alabama players. I really want to know what Kyle Trask. I mean, a lot of people are trying to figure that out about what Kyle Trask's situation is going to be like. Who's going to want him? And I think a lot of teams should want him. The guy can throw the football, so he's big. Doesn't run necessarily that well, but I think he's capable of playing in this league without a doubt. So sure, I think it's going to be interesting to find out how he ends up or where he ends up and how late he goes. Or how
Dan asked on Facebook Live, and I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do, JC. Brought to you by Melton Law. Are they doing the Zoom style draft again this year, or what's the deal?
No, I don't think so. I think it's back to the real thing with social distancing. But that's a great question, and we haven't even thought about that. I haven't even looked at that because we've been so centered on where are these players going to end up or who's going to take whom. And I don't think they're zooming it. No, I think it's a real draft.
So John Brock says here on Facebook Live, Roger Goodell got vaccinated so he could hug the players is what he heard.
And I'm sure. I mean, is there any doubt they're going to have a mask on everywhere they go? I mean, this is not Mississippi. The draft isn't in Philadelphia, Mississippi, is it?
No, I believe it is in Cleveland, Ohio, right?
There you go. Or Cleveland, Mississippi. It's not in Cleveland, Mississippi, right? So no, if it's in Cleveland, Ohio, instead of Cleveland, Mississippi, I'm certain they will social distance, wear masks, but they will have it there. It will not be a silly Zoom call.
Yeah. Let's get to
nothing against Zoom calls because here we are Zooming. So
we are Zooming. We love Zoom.
We do.
Here's our This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now until May 31st, get our preventative maintenance plan for $169 and save almost 40% off the normal cost. Also, any maintenance schedule between now and May 31st, you will be entered to win a Nest thermostat with installation. On this day in 1983, talking NFL draft, do you know who the first overall pick in the 83 draft was, JC?
Oh, I would have been a sophomore in college.
That was the draft that they say all the great Hall of Fame quarterbacks came out of. So it was a quarterback drafted first in 1983.
Off the top of my very woozy head. I don't want to bore the listeners.
That would be one John Elway picked by the Baltimore Colts. So what did he do, JC? He was. I don't want to go to Baltimore.
I don't want to go to Baltimore, I think is what he said.
Well, didn't he go play baseball or something in the minors?
Yeah. He threatened to not go, and he wanted to be west. So he ended up in Denver. But he wasn't the first one to say that. Eli Manning, I think, was drafted by the Chargers. So he was drafted by the Chargers. Said, I don't want to play there, which blows my mind. But he went to New York. And there you have it. So, I don't know. It's amazing, though. Both of them will likely be in the Hall of – well, obviously, Elway will be in the Hall of Fame. I think Eli will as well. So
I'm pretty sure Elway's already in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's already – but I mean, I know that. But Eli, meaning both of them, I think Eli will be as well. But Elway was great. He was great, and I think I watched a 30-on-30 with Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells just a couple days ago, and they showed those Giants Super Bowl wins, and there was Elway playing for the Broncos the first time the Giants beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And I just thought to myself, man, he was that close to not getting a Super Bowl, one of those players like Dan Marino. But there in the twilight of his career, Terrell Davis shows up, a couple other guys show up, and boom, what do you know? The Broncos win a Super Bowl. Actually won 2. So with Eli. But let me ask you this. What is Mike Shanahan without John Elway? So without these players, these coaches who are great and who are Hall of Fame coaches, may not be Super Bowl champions if they don't have that guy at the quarterback position. So that's the position that's really going to get the attention and the focus of this draft. See how I'm tying this in, QB? And this draft with the top 3 picks is going to show us 3 quarterbacks who will hopefully lead their teams one day to the promised land. And that is exciting to me. I can't remember the last time we had a draft where 3 quarterbacks went, but the obvious need is there. The picks are going to happen. It's already been established pretty much who the 1 and the 2 will be. Number 3 will also be a quarterback, and that to me is unique. And I think it's part of why this draft is so exciting, even though we already know the result of the top 3 picks. I think the city of Jacksonville is going to have such a tremendous opportunity to get excited about their football team for the first time in over a decade. And I think it's because this guy has the goods. He is that good. He can't play the position. He's smart enough to play the position. He's also giving money to a Jacksonville charity right now in the name of he and his soon-to-be wife.
They're already married. They're already married, Jason.
I'm sorry, they're already married. But he and Trevor Lawrence to me, QB, he's got the goods, and this is one of the most exciting times I think in Jacksonville Jaguar history. And being over at St. Augustine quite a bit, I'm already seeing Jaguar stuff show up off the shelves at Walmart, at Target, wherever it is, and people are buying it. So let's just hope that the black and teal can do something special, because I think Jacksonville, if they win football, will support that team, and with a real chance to win, they will support that team.
Yeah. Before I let you go, JC, Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com.
All right.
None of our teams won in the Zurich tournament out in New Orleans. Who finished higher? Any idea?
I can't remember who we picked.
Yeah. Well, regardless, the winners were the Australians, Cameron Smith and Mark Leishman. They won in a playoff over the South Africans, and the reason they won, they went to sudden death, and it's a par 5 that they play number 18. They replay it, and it's alternating shot. With the South Africans teed off first, and Louis Oosthuizen freaking hit it dead right into the water.
Ouch.
Dead right in the water. Yeah, they had no chance. So
that was the end of that. But Leishman's had a good couple of weeks. It's good for him. And look, PGA Championship coming up in a few weeks in May.
Did our Peachland Dentistry guy, Big Joe, did he enjoy the golf trip?
Well, from when I saw him and from when I talked to him, he sure looked like he did. He sent me a nice text on yesterday, and I think he's. He loves coming to these events. He goes to the Bahama events as well. And he's just a tremendous man. And I really, really admire and like Joe because he's been a great supporter of the show, but mostly because he's been a good friend on the golf tour that we have there, QB.
Yeah, he's a good guy. There's no question about it. He's got a great video that you need to watch, JC.
Okay.
Of your acceptance speech.
He sent it to me. I saw it. I tell you, I'm just so grateful to all those people that came. It's been a hard year. We missed it last year. We're back and better than ever with 100 golfers.
Yep. All right, JC, go get some sleep, my man. Appreciate it.
We'll see you Wednesday. All right.
That's JC joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by Coach Larry Fedora. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Job Fair is open now through May 15th. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Les Macarons, Sushi Hana, Bass Pro Shop, and coming June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by Larry Fedora, former offensive coordinator here at the University of Florida, head coach at North Carolina. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Can't complain. Did you know the head ball coach is opening up a new restaurant here?
That's what I heard. I heard that. It sounds like a heck of a place.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Coach, let's talk about your coaching career a little bit. Obviously, you played small college football and got into coaching right away. When you were a youngster, did you always want to be a college football coach?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. It was one of my goals was to become a Division I head football coach. But when I was coming out of college, I wasn't entirely sure that was the route I was going to go. I spent some time visiting with some coaches. I actually went into high school coaching right out of college, and coached 5 years on the high school level before I jumped into the college scene. So, and then from there, I just never looked back.
Yeah, you were an assistant a long time, and then when Ron Zook was named the head coach here at the University of Florida, he named you as an offensive assistant, offensive coordinator, what have you. When you look back at your Florida days, Chris Leak was your quarterback, and talk a little bit about Chris. I think he doesn't get enough attention when you think of all the great quarterbacks that have come through this school, and he's our all-time leading passer. Just talk a little bit about Chris Leak.
Well, when we came in there and we were going to kind of run an up-tempo offense, and we brought, Rex had it the first year, and then Rex went on to the NFL. And then we brought in Chris, and Chris ended up taking over as a true freshman that year, and starting in the SEC East that year for us as a true freshman. In fact, went to LSU and Baton Rouge, and the year they won the national championship and beat them at their place. And so Chris, I think Chris had a heck of a career. I mean, Chris won a national championship at North Carolina. People tend to forget that, but I mean, did a heck of a job. What was unique about Chris threw the prettiest spiral of any quarterback I've ever been around since I've been coaching. And he could throw it right-handed or left-handed.
Oh, really?
I'll never forget one day we were at practice and something seemed different, and I didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden I realized he's throwing left-handed. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I just decided I was going to throw left-handed today." And he could do it,
That's
and
crazy.
So he was a hard-working kid. I'll never forget that spring. We're in spring ball. We had signed him, and he would fly out from Charlotte, North Carolina, and he would get there on Thursday. And he would be in every meeting, and he would watch the practices, and he would, we'd be watching the practice film, and, you could see him standing back behind the quarterbacks, going through the steps and going through progressions already as a high school senior.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, he had a tremendous career, no question about it. Coach, after you left Florida, I think you went to Oklahoma State as the offensive coordinator. Then you were hired as the head coach at Southern Miss. I believe that was your first head coaching stop, and you mentioned that was one of your goals. What did it feel like when you signed on the dotted line to become a head ball coach?
Well, I tell you what, it was a great feeling, Shane. I mean, it was, because I had actually a couple of years before that, I had turned down a couple of head coaching jobs that were offered to me. And, I was in a really good place at Oklahoma State, and wanted to make sure that if I was going to take a head coaching job, I was going to go somewhere where I knew I could win. And, Southern Miss had such a rich history and tradition of winning. And so, I jumped at the opportunity to go there, and it was just a tremendous feeling for me, my family, everybody. It was like, you reached a goal, and now what are you going to do with it?
We're speaking with Coach Larry Fedora here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Coach, after you had a lot of success at Southern Miss, you get named the head coach at North Carolina. How was it being, and you did a tremendous job there, y'all won a lot of games, but, everybody talks about how, when you go to a place like a North Carolina or a Kentucky where basketball is king, how hard was that for you being the football coach?
It was, it is what it is. I mean, I tell you, the guy that was the biggest fan for football was Roy Williams. And I have a tremendous relationship with him and a great friendship. And, he just retired recently, so I'm really happy for him. But, it's because of what Dean Smith and Roy Williams built at North Carolina. And so I didn't go in there looking at it as something that was a bad thing. I mean, we just wanted to we wanted to match their success. We wanted to do the things that they had done. And so, I just jumped on board. I mean, it's a great place with a lot of great coaches. I mean, there's many coaches on that staff that have won a lot of national championships. And so it's really a unique place.
You did a tremendous job recruiting at North Carolina, and you signed Mitchell Trubisky. I remember when my son came up for your one-day camp, he was one of the guys that was helping out there. And a few years later, he's a first-round pick by the Bears. For a guy that didn't play a whole lot, didn't start a lot of games, were you surprised that he was a first-round draft pick?
It was just unexpected at the time. I mean, I was expecting to have Mitch another year, and then he would go on to the NFL. And I knew Mitch was pretty special because he could really spin the ball. He was very accurate. He made good decisions in every situation. Because people always ask, well, why didn't Mitch start? Well, in 15, we had a kid by the name of Marquise Williams, who all he did was lead us to a Coastal Division championship. But Mitch came in multiple times throughout the season in critical situations. And every time he did something special. And so I really felt good about what his career was going to be. And, he was the second pick in the draft. And I mean, it goes from there.
Coach, we got a text on the Titan Tomorrow text line from Joe. Joe wants to know, Coach, when you recruit quarterbacks, what do you personally look for in a quarterback?
Yeah. So number one, arm strength is not the most important thing to me. Accuracy is by far the most important thing. That, and then just being able to process. Nowadays, quarterback, it's all on the quarterback. I mean, if you don't have a successful quarterback, you're probably not going to have much success. And so that quarterback has got to be able to process. He's got to be able to be a good decision maker and take care of the football. But accuracy is number one. I mean, it doesn't matter where you throw it. If you can't hit what you're throwing it at, it really isn't going to matter. So that would be the first thing for me.
I agree 100% with that statement. All right, Coach, you've coached in the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Is there a huge difference in those Power 5 conferences in the type of football that's played?
There really isn't. I would just say right now, I would say the SEC has more teams at the top of that, echelon. I mean, but Clemson has proved you can win a national championship out of the ACC. The Big 12, Oklahoma's done great things. Texas was there a few years ago. I mean, so it's really not that much different ball. And if you look at, I know people say, well, they didn't play any defense in the Big 12. Well, if you look at the SEC's defensive numbers this year compared to the Big 12's, you got to wonder who could play defense.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because I guess the last 10, 12 years, everybody said the Big 12 never plays defense. Well, it seems like in the last year or two, especially once Alabama kind of switched and started slinging it around, the SEC's gotten to be like basketball on grass as well. Do you think the days of winning a football game 21-17 are over with?
Well, I think that may happen here and there, but I think overall on a season, you're not going to win with that old philosophy of run the ball, grind the clock out, and win with defense. I just don't think that's going to happen anymore. And that's true at the NFL level now also, Shane.
Yeah, I agree with that too, as well. Coach, looking back at your Florida coaching days, is there one game coaching for the Gators that stands out in your mind?
You know, it was probably that last game we were there. You know, Coach Zook had been let go earlier in the year, and we go to Tallahassee. And I don't think the Gators had won in Tallahassee in something like 18 years or something. And, you know, for us to win that game, I think they were dedicating the field to Coach Bowden that night. And for us to go in there and win it, it was a great situation, a great deal to go in there and win that game and send Ron out the right way.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. A few more minutes with Coach Larry Fedora. You can follow him on Twitter at Coach Fedora. Coach, a two-part question. Transfer portal. Okay, you've been coaching college football for many, many years. Do you think the way the game is now with the transfer portal, do you think college coaches are going to try to get to the NFL where they don't have to deal with this crap? And the second question is for you, have you ever thought about making a jump to the NFL?
Yeah. So the first part of that, I think you're right there. I think college coaches, I mean, the way it is right now, it's a better situation in the NFL than it is in college coaching. The transfer portal that, you know, the transfers that they're fixing to pass this rule with there be no penalty and you can transfer, you know, just opens up such a big can of worms for college coaches. They're already recruiting, you know, 365 days a year. I mean, so this even makes it harder. Not sure I understand why, but that's where it's going. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to put the pace back in the tube. So, and then the second part of that question, yeah, you know, I've thought about that, and that may be where my future is from this point. Don't know, you know, it's still always about contacts, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time making contacts in the NFL. I spent, you know, the last 30 years in college football. So, you know, we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Another question I want to ask you, they're going to probably pass this name, image, and likeness for college athletes. Do you like it, or you think it's going to destroy college athletics?
Well, I think, I think you got people on one end of the spectrum think it's going to destroy college athletics. You got people on the other end of the spectrum that think, you know, it's the only way you can go. And I think it's going to fall somewhere in the middle, Shane. I don't think it'll be as bad as what some people think. I don't think it'll be as good as what some people think. I think there will be only a few people on the team that are actually going to benefit from it, you know. And so, you know, we'll just have to see. I mean, I don't think we're going back in a different direction. This is what the future is going to hold. It is going to definitely change the game, though.
I got not really a personal question, but you were an analyst out at the University of Texas, and everybody says Texas is, you know, the premier job in the Big 12. How would you compare, I guess, the Texas program, the atmosphere, all of that, to a school like Florida that you've been at?
It's very similar. I mean, the fans are fanatical. The expectation level is extremely high, just like at the University of Florida. They expect to win every single game, every single year, and win a national championship every year. And that's the same way it is at the University of Texas.
Yeah, there's no question. All right, Coach. So we got another text here. This is from Sheila. Sheila wants to know, Coach Fedora, I know coaches spend a lot of time coaching football, but what do you do to have fun?
Yeah, so, I enjoy playing a little golf. I'm not a great golfer, but I enjoy it. I really like to hunt and fish, and I just recently bought a ranch. So I bought a ranch that I'm kind of messing with and working on. And so, you know, I enjoy being outdoors. I really do. And, I don't mind working hard. I really don't mind getting my hands dirty. And so, but, I'm enjoying that time right now.
So we just saw Coach Zook. I think is he now the defensive coordinator for Loxley at Maryland?
You know what? I'm not sure what the title is. I know he was originally, they were thinking about special teams coordinator. I don't know what it was.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I talked to him and Loxley when they were going through that process. So I'm excited for Coach Zook, and I think he'll do a hell of a job for Loxley, and it'll be good for both of them.
Yeah. Last thing for you, being in the college game for so long, do you like the way they have the 4-team playoff? Do you think they need to expand to it?
Well, you know, you're going to have that argument every year. The number 5 team, the number 6 team are going to believe they ought to have been in there. And it is what it is. I mean, I think it's been really good for college football. I really do. I think the 4-team playoff has been really good, you know, because people talk about it every single year. And if they're talking about it, that means they care about it, and that's really good. So, you know, whether or not, you know, you're going to expand it basically for, I mean, money. That's what you're going to do it for if they're going to do it. The problem you run into is you only have so many weeks, you know, and the season is stretched as far as it can be right now within a semester. And so if you add teams and you add, you know, different layers, you're going to need more weeks in that season. And so that's going to be difficult for them to do.
I got one last thing. I keep saying one last thing. This is it for you, though, Coach. You've been an offensive guy working with quarterbacks for so much. The draft is coming up. Trevor Lawrence and this Zach Wilson and all these quarterbacks coming out. Who do you think, in your personal opinion, I know you were busy not grading them, but you worry about your own team, but just watching them here and there, who do you think is going to be the best one of those at the next level?
And that's hard to say, Shane, and you know that from being in the NFL. I mean, because a lot of it depends. I mean, they're obviously, all of them are very talented. And it's going to be what offensive coordinator molds the offense around, you know, that kid. And to me, that's what's going to make that kid be really successful. They all got the skills. They all have the tools. That's always something that bewildered me in the past about the NFL, is you have all these guys that are great players go up there and they don't make it. And it was because they didn't fit the offense necessarily that they were thrown into, and they didn't have much choice about it. And so, you know, I think if they're, but I think that's changing in the NFL now. You know, I think, you know, you look at what Kingsbury's done, you know, over there with his guy, and you know what the Kansas City, you know, has done with their guy. I mean, people are changing offenses based on what their quarterback can do, and when they do that, I think every one of these guys could be successful. But I do think the kid at Clemson is pretty special. I really do.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good one. Coach, we appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy your ranch. Take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Shane. Take care.
That's Coach Larry Fedora joining us on the Titan MRO Hotline. We're going to take our final time out of this program. When we come back, we'll wrap up this edition. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
Hey, Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Route Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan MRI Hotline, and also Coach Larry Fedora.
joining us as well. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, folks. We'll have Buddy Martin back on his regular scheduled day. We're also going to have a former defensive lineman, Reggie McGrew, played a little bit with the 49ers, now on the strength staff with Nick Savage and Dan Mullen. We'll talk about Reggie's career, what's going on, how he enjoys working in the weight room. So make sure you tell all your friends and family to tune in and listen to that. And remember that you can follow us and like us on Facebook and YouTube. You can also listen to us on 30 other digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. So I want to thank those guys for joining us today. And make sure you, like I said, you tell your friends and family to like us on Facebook and follow us as well. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.